Hello, Erica. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, we're really blessed to have you today. Thank you for making our time, your busy schedule to be with us. Hello, viewers. Today we have a leader in the field. Her name is Erica. Erica. She's the founding partner at Rose Consulting Group LLC. Erica, you're welcome. So
Thank you.
today we're going to talk about how AI is reshaping the landscape of recruitment. And again, Erica, it's not an interview. Just it's a conversation. Feel free to share with us how you got to where you are today. Not the polished LinkedIn post that we have all there. The real challenges we had, how you navigated it, and what you're digging in more. And if there's any other thing you want to say, that would be great. Does that sound
Okay,
good to you?
sounds great.
Okay, so let me just tell you how the podcast is going to be. First of all, thank you once again for coming in. We'll start with your background and the industry trend you're seeing. Then we discuss your current challenges and the vision you want for Rose Group Consulting LLC in the next 12 months. And finally, we wrap up by exploring any next step if it makes sense. How does that sound, Erica?
That sounds good.
Okay, okay. So, like I said, it's not an interview, it's a conversation. So, relax and let's start talking. So, can you share a bit of your role and how you fit into the bigger picture of Rose Consulting LLC?
Yeah, so I started Rose Consulting Group in 2021. It was the promise of the vaccine. People were hiring again. And I was a stay-at-home mom, pregnant with my second son, and I had old clients calling me to recruit for them again. I had worked at a recruitment agency in New York City for almost 6 years. So in that 6 years, I had, it was all commission. I was building my network. This was obviously way before AI. It was old school cold calling, trying to find people's information online. And, it was just me building my brand and making a lot of placements. And
Mhm.
so I was able to start my business in 2021. So now it's been 5 years and it's been a wonderful experience working across all industries. And so I would say there's been a lot of change in the last 3 years with AI coming in and, you know, helping in so many ways the recruitment process. So there's obviously been a lot of processes and procedures that have made things a lot easier and streamlined. Um, that is really support and help reduce the friction and help leaders grow. And then there's obviously a lot of great ways to find information about a company or who is the chief revenue officer at this company. It's really helped reduce a lot of time and a lot of the admin tasks and a lot of things I could take off my plate so that I can actually speak to candidates and get to understand what they're looking for and have more meaningful conversations when my day isn't so bogged up with these tasks that I can so easily pass on with AI tools.
Yeah, yeah. Talking about your days being, being bugged with a lot. So, what does a typical day looks like for you?
Oh man, a typical day, you really have to be structured in recruiting because there's so many different aspects that you're dealing with. You're dealing with getting new job orders, so talking to clients and getting all that information and passing it off to my team. It's then, going talking to all the candidates and screening them for the roles, so that takes a lot of time because you're interviewing them, writing out their forms to be submitted to the clients. It's getting feedback from interviews from candidates. It's also prepping candidates for interviews, talking to the clients with, facilitating the whole process. And then the best part is closing the deals. So that's my favorite job. And I think that that's something that AI can't take away is that human connection, right? Like you don't want to get an email, oh, you got the job, because then candidates can so easily be like, not for me, right? Just a quick email back. So I feel like keeping that human connection with the getting the candidate to really trust you is important part of the candidate experience, and then being able to close those deals as the recruiter, and face to face things like this. But what's also great with AI is having the tools that can take these types of meetings over Zoom, and then after have like summary of all of our conversations, so I can always look back and not have to manually take those notes.
Awesome. That's very good. You have a very extensive experience in recruitment and building a client partnership. I'll be interested to hear your insight on how you approach identifying and cultivating those trust relationship that leads to
Yeah,
long-term growth and retention. Yeah.
definitely great question. It's about results. It's about placing the right people. And that means understanding their mission, their values, their culture, their mindset fit. So you're fitting the right candidate in that role that stays. You don't
Mm,
want to just place somebody there that quits or gets fired, right? That's not a result. So that trust that you build is making the right placement. And there's a lot of recruiters out there that are like trying to maybe start their own company, or they're posting all these jobs that they have. But if they're not making those placements, I don't feel like they're good recruiters. You have to have results. You have to, and if people are going to pay you money and pay you right for your work, you have to deliver, and you have to deliver correctly. So I think to retain top talent, it is making the right placement, so that when you're growing your team and you're building your team, you're hiring due to growth, not due to replacement.
very good. So, what key strategies have you found most effective in understanding a client unique needs and ensuring a successful, lasting partnership in the recruitment space?
I think what's been helpful is like going in person and seeing the client and getting, that face-to-face interaction, understanding the environment. But if you can't, because I do have a lot of clients all over the country, it's Zoom interviews, it's that face-to-face
Yeah,
interaction, because everybody is so different.
yeah,
There's so many different personalities and values and goals. And so to understand that, there needs to be a conversation, and to really ask the right questions and get them to trust you, to open up, so that they can, there's a lot of surface level with a job description. It's like, do this, do that. But there's so much more that goes into hiring. It's really about the mindset fit, and that the right match, that right personality match, that culture fit that's going to make the right team to then continue to grow and do amazing things and stay, because there's options to change different companies, and oh, this one's offering me more money. So it's like, how do you retain top talent? And that could be a whole podcast, Phoebe,
and,
on how to
and
retain top talent.
yeah, sure, that's well said and well answered. So, what major shifts are you seeing in your industry right now?
What, say that again?
Major shift.
Major shifts is definitely the AI, different platforms, different tools. Every company has these, like, to submit a candidate, it's greenhouse, it's different systems. There's a lot out there, right? So it's important to see what's the right fit for your company and are you growing it like a startup, hiring like crazy? You're going to need a different system than something that's maybe a little bit less high growth and high scale.
Yeah, awesome. That's well said too. So, how has AI impacted your business and strategy at our Rose Consulting Group?
You always want to learn the tools to help you enhance your business, because then you'll just get lost, right? Like, so you got to adapt, you got to be flexible, and
Mm,
it helps me craft better emails. It certainly helps me reduce my time. But again, I think that you always want to remain the human connection, especially with the candidate and the client, to gain that trust. So you want to, obviously have those tools, use those tools, but still pick up the phone, still have these face-to-face conversations, and if they can't be in person, so that people can really know the face of the name and to really build that trust in that, your brand.
Yeah, awesome. That's very great. So, what's working well for you right now, and what has been frustrating?
What's working for me is, there's a lot of people out there looking for roles. So if people aren't looking, they know somebody who is, because somebody's been unemployed,
Mhm.
or laid off, or are looking for work. So I would say, like, the candidate pool is, there's a lot of candidates out there.
Mm.
And so that's, for me, definitely working in my favor. And it's always good to network and keep the candidate pool, open. What's been challenging for me has been, I would say, up until like now, has been getting roles, because it was like the end of the year and like the start of the year, companies were still trying to figure things out. Are we going to hire? Are we not? The economy's really in flux. And so, economies, though, they move in cycles. And so you want to navigate those uncertain times. And so while things usually are kind of quiet around the holidays or the start of the year, that's sort of when I do my most, like, networking and just keeping up with my candidates and my clients, so that when they're ready to hire, I'm like, okay, I know who to contact. So I would definitely say there hasn't been as many jobs, as I would have loved in the start of the year, but I
Mhm.
have seen some things open up and some momentum, which is important because, people get their bonuses, they're ready to look, but there's got to be jobs open for people to look, right? And there's unemployment is now at, I think, 4.4%. And so people are looking for roles, and I want to be able to make that happen for people.
Awesome. That's very great. So, how do you currently measure success at Rose Group Consulting Group?
I would say I measure results of, you know, making placements. Like, to say, to me, is like to say that they started, I got the offer, that the candidate accepted. So I think that rate is really important, because at the end of the year you do an audit, and you want to, year after year, be hitting those goals. And as an entrepreneur and a business owner, I want to, that's important, but also getting new clients, right? And, like, because I love to get it in all different industries, because the people that work for me, every single one of them, I have about 10. They all have interest in, yeah, they all have interest in different industries. So if I get a new real estate client, somebody's like, oh, that's like so what I want to do. And if
Hmm.
I get like a wellness one, I have another, employee that's like, that's what I'm passionate about. So in order to keep my people happy too, is like getting that new business, so that in different industries, different states, because it just gets people super excited to make those placements.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, very good and good to know. Which metrics are you focused on improving right now?
I would say, getting more roles. I've got to get more roles yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
okay.
what I'm gonna do when I get off the phone is be making more calls and get more roles.
Okay, awesome. Okay, that's very great to know. Okay, where do you want a Rose Consulting Group to be in the next 1 year? That's 12
Oh,
months, yes. Hmm.
I've gotten some really great media, but I really want to expand that. I love the different forms I've been getting. Like, at first it was more articles and then podcasts, and I just want to take it a step further, because
Hmm.
I really want to help people with their job, give people positive, like, not only help them and serve them, but also offer a positive approach.
Hmm.
So I think that I want to really take this to a new level. I think it's a white space. I don't think there's a lot of recruiters out there that are well known for, um, like, people are like, how do I answer this question, or what do I do? And I don't think that there's like enough light workers out there that are offering helpful advice to people that are searching for a job. And if I could do anything, is to give back, all the lessons that I've learned, or what works, and my suggestions and advice, but also offer it in a much positive, light, optimistic way for people.
Yeah, yeah. But can you throw more light on what you mean by offering advice to people that are looking for work? Because I think there's something that you that is like it's not something that is freely given by researchers, or I mean recruiters rather.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. And another
Mm.
thing that I do offer is free resume redos for my candidates.
Okay.
People, I think that's so important. People don't know what to do, and AI definitely helps, but I think getting an expert's look over is really
Mm.
important.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot you can compensation, like what to say, what not to say. When somebody asks what's a weakness or a challenge, I think a lot of candidates shoot themselves in the foot and they say the wrong things. And I believe that there is a wrong way to answer that question. And so I would love to give some advice on how to turn people's weaknesses into strengths, because I don't think that they're weaknesses at all. I think our whole existence is evolving and growing and learning. And so to position yourself, you have to sell yourself, and you have to retell your story in a positive light. And I think a lot of people have a hard time maybe finding their self-worth, or being confident.
Yeah.
And so how I can help people answer some tricky questions to make themselves stand out so that they can get the offer. And whether or not they take it is up to them, but to get to the finish line, it's an art. It is, interviewing is an art. Not everybody's good at it. You have to practice. And so to help people as much as I can so that they can answer these questions, in the best way, I think it'd be a really great service to everyone in the world.
Yeah. Awesome. That's very good and very great too, because not everybody offers that. Are there any specific KPIs that you're tracking in, getting to your goals for the year?
Yeah, so I am tracking, how many candidates we reach out to, the process in each one, how many clients we've reached out to and we're waiting to hear back, how many clients we're closing. Yeah, you have to track that all, because there's I have a lot of like employees that work for me that we don't want to reach out to the same candidate, right? Because they're all like Rose Consulting Group. If five people are reaching out to the same candidate, that just doesn't look good. So making sure you're tracking who you're reaching out to and the whole process, so that also, like, if you get a similar search, you can just go back and see the candidates that you have, and you know hopefully make uh, another outreach to them.
Awesome. You mentioned something about the goal of getting more, I guess, profile or job openings, right, to work with, right? So, why the goal, and are there any specific steps or metrics associated with them, and how to get there?
Yeah, it really varies from year to year with what's going on in my life and the company, and how many, I don't want to get too many clients and then I don't have enough staff to help fill those jobs, because again, to keep a client, you have to deliver. You
Mm,
don't want to, you don't want to, you got to make the right match.
yeah.
So each year is really different, and yeah, I would say it's just each year is very different.
Okay, awesome. If you have a magic wand to fix just one thing in the Rose Consulting Group that is holding you back or slowing you down, what would that one thing be?
Um, I would say, good question. It's tough. I would say to fixing, I think it would be right now, this economy and uh, getting, companies to hire. So I think that that's what I would do because the second companies are able to hire, I'm super busy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, because the point is, in this point, it's not within our control. Is kind of the environment determines that.
There's
But
and
again,
there's so many different factors,
yeah,
right?
so many
So
different factors. But again, since it's not within our control, do we just stay and wait until, the right time is right, or when until things are in place? Is there nothing? Is there something we be doing, or kind of prep, or kind of have activate things on from our end? You know what I mean? Is
yeah,
there
and
any?
that's why I don't like just silo myself into one industry because then you
Mhm,
can really screw yourself over. Like if I was just a tech recruiter
mhm.
and only worked on tech jobs, I would be, up shit's creek. So I think that what I do best at, my background is accounting and finance, but I have been doing anything. It's really about the client, that trust, the relationship I have with the client, and then I can fill any. I'm very confident I can fill any role that I'm given. And I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm super proud of my team. So it's more of the client relationship than what industry it's in, things like that.
Yeah. Because from what I can see, you service across industry, like you just said.
Yeah.
You don't silo yourself in one particular niche and all that. So is there any kind of signal you are looking for to make sure that you're moving in the right direction, especially if one is not working right now, that the other ones you are working is working, or you kind of have a head leadway into it and things are happening?
I think what has been kind of interesting is like kind of things that are like recession proof, like with the recessions or COVID, like commercial real estate got hit.
Mm,
So that was, and I had a lot of clients in that bucket. So kind of gearing towards things that are a little bit more, recession proof. Um, and things like that have been something to consider. Um, but I think just like always saying yes
mm,
and building that relationship with that client
yeah,
and instead of being like no, I'm too good for that or no, just saying yes and then it's really that relationship with the client because then that person might go to another company and then they'll want to work with you again. So again, it's that relationship with who you're working with.
yeah, yeah. I agree in relationship, and you're very right. But again, you mentioned something like recession proof. What industries or what do you think is recession proof? Kind of.
I think, I think I do think real estate, I have a lot of real estate clients that have multifamily, or, like I do think that real estate is an amazing client to land. I just think commercial real estate can be tricky.
Yeah.
I think, um, you know, I would say advertising is not recession proof. That has took a massive hit. Used to have a lot of clients in advertising, and then they're just merging and laying off, and it's a nightmare. I think, it, you also have to see like the roles within those companies too, right? So just have to think back of like what the last like 10 years and kind of do an audit of like what did well, what didn't do well, but also still maintaining those contacts, right? Like still checking in. It's just maybe when you're doing new business development, trying to stick to things that are a little bit less likely to, you know, um, have I know, mass layoffs and mergers and things like that.
Yeah. One last, if I might call it one last question, can you walk me through your process from getting the opening, recruiting, and placing, just what your process is like? Can you walk me through that?
Yeah, so I usually get a call from a client and then they're like, Erica, I get to hire, due to growth, and we talk about it. And they send me a job spec. And then once I get the official green light that they can 100% use a recruiting agency and hire, because otherwise it's a waste of time, I alert my team and I'm like, listen, these are the requirements, these are the, desired qualifications. And I then spend, time sourcing, target recruiting. And it's really my job and my team's job to screen and find the best few candidates, right? Like if you're going to use a recruiting agency, I think it's really important not to bog down these hiring managers with like all these resumes. Like for example, one of my clients just went to a real estate firm in Hoboken and I sent her one resume that I was like, she's your hire. I've been working with her for almost 10 years. I'm like, I know your personality. This is your girl. Usually I'll send like a few others, but I was so adamant about this. And she had just started at this company and they're using like two other agencies and she got 11 or 12 candidates to interview. I'm like, what? I'm like, who has all that time for you to interview? Like that's the recruiter's job, is to streamline that process so that you can just interview a couple of candidates and then make the decision. Like interviewing over 10 to me is just a waste of the hiring manager's time. Like they're doing real life things. So I think just making sure, making sure that you're on top of the candidate, because that candidate's also interviewing at other places. So you want to make sure that you don't lose that candidate's interest if the process is slow. So then, hopefully we get an interview, prepping them before, getting the feedback after, walking them through each step of the process, and then I verbally give out the offer, and then the company does the background checks and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. That's very good. And again, is there any particular AI tools you're using or, you know,
Yeah, so I use like Fathom to take the notes from like, a Zoom or what have you. I really love, ChatGPT, especially I use Google Mail, so
Mhm.
Gmail, so I have them like help me polish or
Yeah.
elaborate or formalize
Mhm.
my email messages, and that's been so helpful. And yeah, I've been like, dabbling into maybe doing some other AI tools once I expand my business. Google has great like Google Sheets for tracking and things like that. I have used other things in the past, like Bullhorn or Encore. Those are some systems that other agencies use that I have used in the past. Um, but yeah,
Yeah. So what will it take for you to expand your business?
it will take, um, to be completely honest, I have three boys under the age of 6. So
Oh,
I think it'll take them getting more into school and me having more time at home to expand my business. I would
okay.
say
Awesome.
that's the honest truth.
Yeah, I really like that. I have three boys myself, so I can relate with you. All right, Erika, thank you very much. It's been nice talking to you, and I really appreciate your time, your insight, and your warmth. I can feel the love, even if you're there, and your honesty. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
And
so much. I really enjoyed our talk. I hope we can continue this. You're
oh,
wonderful,
sure,
and
we
you had a
will,
lot of great questions, and I really
definitely.
appreciate your
Yeah,
time.
we'll get back sometime later in the year. All right, then. Take care, Erika.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.